Hello, Ms. Shriver. I know that you don't know me, and I'd like to thank you for your courage to post your video. And you really are brave to ask for advice on what you should do next with your life. Let me introduce myself. My name is Michael Spindleman. I am a business coach who helps people discover how to leverage what you love into a sustainable business. Now, everyone goes through transitions. Some are more than others, some are worse than others. Learning the lessons from those transitions and understanding the structure behind them has been my lifelong purpose. May I have your permission to let me explain what I'm talking about as far as structures? Thank you, by the way. Inside every person is a little you who is screaming to become the big you who does meaningful, amazing stuff. What I have discovered, we choose our ego's control view of our life instead of flowing with our higher calling. When ego is at play, we look outward for the answers to what we should do in life. By doing that, we are stuck in an energy-draining control drama. The difficulty is how to circumvent the ego to uncover our true self. And what I found is that is a really great question. One obstacle we face is from society. Social mores put dramatic expectations on us. Sometimes these are counter to what our purpose is. Transitions are one of life's ways of reminding us it's time to get back to our purpose. As a parent, when my children were born, I noticed that they have their own purpose. And my role was just as a parent is simply to help nurture and develop that purpose. And when I look at more and more individuals that I've coached and I've mentored, I've noticed that from the moment we're all born, we all are on purpose. But the distractions have been, as we grow, other influences have continued to pull us away from our purpose. Every time we heard no, our purpose has been challenged. Every time you heard the word no, somebody was challenging your purpose. By the time we graduate from each level of training, we have been indoctrinated into other people's view of our purpose. We are really in an amazing time. The world is changing and we are entering a period of consciousness. And I've heard some people say that we are in the age of consciousness. There have been transitions in the past from agrarian to industrial to information. And now, because of social media, people around the world are connecting with one another and asking questions of who are we and what do we stand for? At the core of this whole movement of consciousness is value-based sustainability. Value really means defining who you are and what is it that you stand for. These are things that are profoundly different. Instead of just going along with what everybody else is doing and just accepting it for being right, we are now asking, okay, what is right? What is the right thing to do? We can no longer afford to just follow everybody along a path and fall off a cliff, because what is happening is that's what's going on in the world right now. And people are really changing that, and there are new tools for coping with this new consciousness that are emerging. When we end a relationship, our definition of ourself is based strongly on the other person, obviously an external factor. During transition, this causes self-confusion. That's what you're expressing, and that's one of the things that I got from your video. The good news is we have been dropping reminder breadcrumbs along our whole life. Yet we got so caught up in our daily grind that we forget that they're there. They're actually there, and we just haven't taken the time to actually notice them. Sure, you can ask everyone what you should do, and that's what your video was. You're asking people in the community, what should you do next in your life? And that is great. But I think what I have learned and what others that I've helped nurture and inspire, in order to really get lasting change, they ask themselves, what is it that gives them lasting change? And so I ask you, ask yourself, what gives you lasting inspiration? Look at the inspired purpose breadcrumbs that you have dropped your whole life. This requires that you become really self-aware, and now that's really a challenge, isn't it? Well, let me share a story with you about my inspiration and my movement into purpose and my awakening. At 3:25 p.m. on November 17th, 2001, I was on Northwest Airlines Flight 693. And on that flight, I happened to develop a breakthrough tool, which I'll share with you. And while I was flying on that flight, is when I had my epiphany of consciousness. And now let me explain what this flight was. It was the first flight that left from Buffalo, New York to Detroit, Michigan after 9/11. Yes, it was the first flight that left Buffalo, New York to Detroit after 9/11. And on that day, when I landed and I got into the airport, there wasn't another plane that landed for another hour. And I could roll a bowling ball down the tarmac and not hit anybody. That was really breathtaking and really awakening. It was a shock to my system. Now, on the plane it was full. There was every seat was actually occupied. But the majority of the people on the plane were soon to be out of work airline workers. There were 8,000 people in that industry that were going to lose their jobs in the next couple of days, weeks, and even, hours. And my inner guide inspired me to create this resource at that moment. While I was on that plane, as I was going from Buffalo to Detroit, as I was looking around the plane and seeing everybody else on the plane going through this profound change and the reality. For me, it was just another plane flight, but to them, it was their life, it was their career, it was their livelihood. And it really made me aware that I needed to come up with something to be able to help these individuals, these human beings, these fellow human beings whose livelihood and their stake was what was being challenged and dramatically being changed. What I did is I came up with a product, and it's called Your Book of Answers. You can find it at eventronics.com, eventronics.com/answers. What it is it's a way to collect the breadcrumbs of your purpose from your whole life. It's a simple tool. You can find more about it on eventronics.com. And I really believe that you are going through a dramatic change in your life right now. And as I've learned throughout my lifetime, and especially after 9/11, and I know we're far away from that period of time right now, change is throughout our life. And when we are not on purpose, what we find is the change is more forced upon us. When we're on purpose, what we find is change becomes part of our call to get back on purpose and to get refocused on what our purpose is. And it's really important. I appreciate that you've taken the time to actually listen to what I had to say. Thank you for the opportunity for raising the question of really what should you do next? Obviously I can't answer that question, but I do hope that that you take the moment and you go and get this resource and try it for yourself. There's some testimonials there from other individuals who I've helped with this little tool. Results are amazing. Wish you the best of luck, and I know that whatever you do, it will be profound. That you will find your calling, and I deeply believe that. I know that you are in circles and networks of people who are highly inspirational and that are really about profound change, about sustainability, about embracing a world where we're not destroying the world, but we're improving the world, and that there's great things, and that we're leaving a legacy for our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and for generations to come. Just thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. Have a great day.